We've all seen it happen. A company announces some huge, ambitious new plan, right? There are kickoff meetings, there's inspiring posters everywhere, bold promises, and then, just a few months later, poof, everything's kind of quietly gone back to the way it always was. So today, we're going to dig into why so many of these big change initiatives just fail to stick.
It is such a common story, and it's super frustrating. So why does this happen? Why do these grand visions for a total transformation so often just fizzle out? They leave employees feeling cynical and, honestly, customers feeling let down. Well, the answer usually isn't about a lack of trying. It's about a lack of structure.
Okay, let's make this really concrete with a story. Picture this. You're checking into a hotel. The lobby is decked out with these banners proclaiming a brand new mission. The whole place has been reimagined for customers. And you're thinking, awesome, I made a great choice.
But then, you get to the front desk, and despite your reservation, the king-sized room you booked weeks ago, it's just gone. It's suddenly unavailable. That big promise of a customer-first experience is already starting to feel a little shaky.
So what's the alternative they can offer you? A smoking room with 2 twin beds. It's literally the exact opposite of what you needed and what you reserved. I mean, this isn't just a small inconvenience, it's a complete failure to deliver on the most basic promise.
And here's the final blow. The employee just kind of looks at you, gives you a little shrug and says, sorry, nothing can be done. You see, that failure, it wasn't personal, it was systemic. And it perfectly shows the massive gap between announcing change and actually making it happen.
So how do you stop this kind of breakdown from happening in the first place? Well, that's where this really cool tool called the Manager's Compass comes in. Think of it as a framework designed to diagnose exactly where a change plan is failing, and more importantly, how to get it back on track.
So yeah, it's basically a guide for managers. Instead of just relying on hype and slogans, it focuses on 3 really practical directions that bake the change right into the very fabric of how work gets done. It moves you from that temporary launch day excitement to real, long-term transformation.
And these are the 3 core directions. It's actually pretty straightforward. First, you need a solid foundation that makes the new way of doing things easier, not harder. Second, you absolutely have to give your people the authority to act. And third, you've got to align their motivations so everyone's actually pulling in the same direction. Let's break each one down.
All right, let's kick things off with that first direction, foundation. This is all about the systems and the processes that are supposed to support the change. And honestly, if you get this part wrong, nothing else is going to matter.
So here's the absolute #1 rule. If the new process is harder or more confusing or just takes more time than the old one, people are going to go back to the old way. It's inevitable. It's just human nature, right? We all follow the path of least resistance. The foundation has to make the right way the easy way.
This is a perfect example. Think about a call center. If you only measure your reps on how fast they get off the phone, they're going to rush to end calls even if the customer's problem isn't solved. But look what happens when you add a new metric, first-time resolution. Now you're balancing speed with quality. The metrics themselves are creating the foundation for better behavior.
Smart foundations also use what we call forward-looking indicators. So instead of just reacting to last quarter's sales numbers, which is looking in the rearview mirror, you measure things that predict future success. Things like the quality of your materials before they go into production. This lets you steer proactively instead of just reporting on failures after they've already happened.
And here's a super simple test any manager can use. First, who's your customer? Got it? Okay, now capture what they actually need. Then translate those needs into concrete things you can measure. You align your daily work around those new metrics, and, now this part is key, you officially get rid of the old measures that don't help you anymore.
Okay, next up on the compass is authority. This is all about making sure that the people you're holding responsible for the change actually have the power to make it happen.
This says it all, doesn't it? Asking someone to be accountable for results they can't actually influence isn't empowerment. You're just setting them up to fail. Remember that hotel clerk? They had all the responsibility for checking you in, but zero power to actually fix your problem. It's a trap.
So for empowerment to be real, you need these 3 things. The authority you give someone has to match the responsibility you give them, 1-to-1. They need real-time feedback so they know if they're on the right track. And they need the tools, and this is a big one, the permission to actually make decisions and take action.
And that brings us to the third and final direction of our compass, motivation. Because even with a great foundation and truly empowered employees, change will absolutely stall if people don't see what's in it for them.
Here is a classic example of misaligned motivation. The hospital's big mission is to be patient-centered. Great, but the MRI unit's bonus is tied to getting as many patients through the machine as possible. So what do you think wins out in the end? The bonus. Every single time. The incentive structure completely torpedoes the mission.
And this really gets to the heart of it. People will always focus their energy on what is actually measured and rewarded. You can see it right here on this chart. If you introduce these new team goals, but you keep rewarding the old departmental KPIs, well, you know exactly where their focus is going to stay. Locked on the past.
And this is the logical result. I mean, you can't blame them, right? If an employee's performance review, or their bonus, or their chance for a promotion is still tied to the old way of doing things, they have absolutely no rational reason to embrace the new way. The motivation just isn't there. So the real key here is that lasting change isn't about a big launch event or a fancy party. It's about the boring, everyday stuff, the control plans, the clear operating procedures, and the daily reinforcement that makes the new way simply the way work gets done now.
So let's just do a quick recap. The manager's compass gives you 3 critical checkpoints. Do you have a solid foundation that makes the new way easy? Check. Do your people have the authority they need to get it done? Check. And is their motivation aligned to actually make them care about the result? That's the trifecta.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When you look at the change initiatives happening in your own world, ask yourself this: are they running on the temporary fuel of excitement and energy, or are they built on a durable structure that can truly last? The answer makes all the difference.